Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at UMA's brand new 1:48 scale AV-8B Harrier II Plus. This kit looks absolutely fantastic and the amount of stuff it comes with out of the box is absolutely insane. So let's go ahead and take a look. I hope you enjoy. Taking a look at the cockpit to start this one off, here you can see me building up the ejection seat. This ejection seat is multiple pieces and it looks absolutely fantastic. The molding was incredible. The surface detail, the recess detail, the raised detail, it was just every part of it was absolutely fantastic. I have nothing but good things to say about this build, and I am going to be saying nothing but good things about this build the entire video. So yeah, sorry not sorry for that. It's an excellent kit. Here you can see me cementing a few more parts onto the ejection seat, and now we're turning our attention to the cockpit floor, specifically the rudder pedals. These are tiny. It looks awesome. Cementing some plating onto the floor. I assume these are what the pilot can rest his feet on if he's not using the rudder pedals. Obviously during flight you'd have your feet on the rudder pedals the entire time, but you guys get what I'm saying. Had a really hard time getting that one in. I don't know why, but we got there in the end. Here I am cementing the left and right sidewalls, or the consoles, in place. UMA gives you two forms of the sidewall in the kit. One of them is flat and the other one has the raised detail. If you wanted to hand paint it or use the included decals. And the reason they include the flat ones is because the kit actually comes with a 3D decal set for the cockpit, which is absolutely amazing to see, isn't it? Like, it's just, you get Edward who will put the photo etch in the kit and everything, but seeing a 3D decal set in a kit is absolutely fantastic. And as far as I know, UMA are the only ones that do that. Now, granted, this is their first kit, but I do really hope they continue to do it in the future because it was absolutely awesome to see. Catching up with the build now, here you can see me cementing the forward, left, and right consoles in place. Again, those are flat in preparation for the 3D decal set. Here I'm cementing some more miscellaneous parts onto the rear bulkhead. Good to note here, I cemented the rear bulkhead in a little bit too far back. As you can see, there's kind of a gap where it overhangs at the back of the sidewall. It's actually supposed to sit on top of the back part of the sidewall, if that makes sense. So I just tore that out and cemented it back in where it's supposed to be, and it worked out fine. With those final components being cemented in, the cockpit can be given a coating of a flat black primer, and we can move on to our first bit of paint for the kit. So what I'm doing is black basing Vallejo Model Air's medium sea gray color all over the raised surfaces in the cockpit. What black basing basically does is leaves paint on the flat surfaces and no paint in the recessed surfaces or the recessed details, so that when you go over with your uniform coating, they're left shaded and it gives natural shading and like a darker area in the panel lines to kind of make the panel lines pop. So just using that black basing technique all over the cockpit, and then we will go over with our uniform coating as I always do. Here's that uniform coating all finished up. Looks pretty good in there. As you can see, the detail in the cockpit is incredible on that rear bulkhead, and it's a shame because the ejection seat pretty much covers all of it. But, you know, it is what it is. It's nice to know that it's still there anyway. Here I am picking out some different components now in a khaki color, or not a khaki color, sorry, an olive drab color. This is just the Vallejo model color, olive drab. The exact same shade as their Model Air olive drab, but it's just a bit thicker. It's meant for brush painting. And we're going to be using that same olive drab on the ejection seat. As you can see there too, the harnesses, the pilot's harnesses, are molded on the ejection seat, and it's great to see that. But I suck at brush painting seatbelts and harnesses, so they didn't come out looking too good. But you know, it's nice to have them there anyway, and there's people who can do a much better job than I can. Moving my attention back to the cockpit tub now, here you can see me attempting, keyword there is attempting, to get the flight stick in place. I was getting pretty frustrated with this until I just decided to use the tweezers that were sitting next to me. I really don't think sometimes when I'm working on the aircraft, but you know, it is what it is. We get it in there and it looks pretty good. The entire flight stick just stays in a flat black color. There is raised detail for the buttons and stuff on the actual upper section of the hand grip where your thumb would go to obviously press your weapon release button, whatever it is. You can pick those out. I didn't. The reasoning for that is I forgot. So, you know, But yeah, that detail is there. You can pick it out if you want to. Here you can see me picking out the harnesses. I was using USAF light gray, the model air range color. It's a great color, but it was way too thin. And no matter how many coats of this paint color I put down, it just did not thicken up and did not get a uniform coating of the color, which is why the seatbelts or the harnesses sort of came out looking so bad. So I do apologize for that, but yeah, if you use a thicker paint, you will get much better results than I did. Moving my attention onto the nose wheel well now. You can see me cementing some piping onto one of the sidewalls. It's nice to note here that the sidewalls are separate pieces, and you cement them all together to build your square. That is the nose wheel well. I personally love when the sidewalls are separate pieces because it means that I can leave one off and paint it separately, and then it leaves it opening for me to get my airbrush in there to get all the detail painted up. If it's all like if all four of the sidewalls are joined as one piece and it's just this big small square, big small, if it's just this small square, then it's a lot more difficult to get your airbrush in there and get all the detail painted. So being able to have one of the sidewalls off just allows you to paint it separately, and it makes it a lot easier. Here you can see me putting a black wash in the cockpit. If I were you, I probably wouldn't do this. It made the cockpit look a little too dirty for my liking, and I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. Let me know what you guys think, but I'm not really sold on it. Here I am now utilizing the included 3D decal set. These look absolutely fantastic, but here you'll see with this decal, there's a little spot where you have to kind of push the 3D decal through, like there's a little hole on the 3D decal where the throttle or the parking brake goes through, and as you just saw, it shattered the 3D decal. I was lucky to be able to find the piece, but please be careful when you're doing that because these 3D decals are very, very fragile. Here I am giving you a little showcase of the cockpit now. It looks absolutely fantastic. There's still a little bit more that has to go into it, like the instrument panel and stuff like that, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Here I am now putting some more components on the forward fuselage halves. This part right here goes into the nose wheel well, and the part that's coming up is going to go into one half of the cockpit. This is a pretty straightforward process again. The entire kit was glued together using PVA and Tamiya Extra Thin. PVA for the clear parts, Extra Thin for the non-clear parts. At this point now, you can see that I'm building up the final components for the nose wheel well, and those two forward fuselage halves were put together. They were just painted in uniform coating, which is why I didn't show you guys that. Here I am building up the main wheel well. Fantastic detail in here as well. Looks excellent. With that being finished up, we can move on to some miscellaneous assembly now to prep the fuselage halves to get glued together. Here you can see I utilized the sidewalls being different pieces to paint that up. Here's that little panel getting cemented into the bottom of the fuselage, and here is the main wheel well going in place. You'll notice in a second I cement the section for the air brake in there as well, and I didn't paint that, I just masked it off like I masked off the wheel wells in the last build, my HE219 Uhu build. I masked it off after the whole aircraft was painted, and I just did the same thing here for simplicity's sake. This kit includes a few poly caps. It's fantastic to see. This poly cap here is going to support the horizontal stabilizers. The only other manufacturer that I've seen include poly caps is Tamiya, and it's always great to see them in the kit. It just gives you a bit of extra security. You know, it's great. That's all I can really say about it. And here I am getting the two fuselage halves cemented together. There you can see by my thumb there is a huge locating lug to make sure that you have good fitment, and it was better than good. It was amazing fitment. It was fantastic. I honestly don't think I used any filler on the entirety of the fuselage, only a little bit on the wings here and there just to kind of clean everything up. But yeah, it looked great. Here I am cementing in some more miscellaneous stuff. I had an extremely hard time getting these parts in place, and I honestly have no idea why. It took me about 3 minutes for each piece to get them in place, and I don't know why it was so difficult for me, but yeah, this section here was the only downside of the build for me, but nothing negative about the kit. That was just me getting a little bit frustrated because I had no idea why I couldn't get the pieces in place. Taking a look at the horizontal stabilizers now, these are molded in one piece, which is great to see. I always love when horizontal stabilizers and vertical stabilizers, even wings on some smaller aircraft, are molded in one piece. It's just, it eliminates the need to get rid of any seam. I talked about it in my Uhu video, the last video about the vertical stabilizers. It was awesome. So here is the PVA glue that I'm going to be using. And I'm using this stuff to cement the shrouds, I guess you'd call them. If you guys know what these are called, please do let me know. But they go in front of the exhaust nozzles, and I wanted to paint the exhaust nozzles separately, so I decided to cement these in temporarily with some PVA for the uniformity's sake of the paint. But because it's PVA, I can pop them off after to get those exhaust nozzles in there. Cementing some more miscellaneous stuff onto the fuselage now in preparation to get the wings glued up. I'm going to say this right now. The wings in this kit look fantastic. In every other Harrier kit that I've seen, I've only ever built one other one. It was the Tamiya Sea Harrier. It wasn't a very good kit, but that's a story for another day. But the one thing that all manufacturers seem to get wrong or seem to get off are the shape of the wings. The Harrier has a very iconic wing shape, and UMA have managed to capture it almost perfectly, so very big props to them. That's very impressive. Here I am cementing the wings in place. Fitment here was absolutely fantastic, and the join there by my left thumb runs along an actual panel line. So like the seam runs along a panel line, which just means that you don't have to do as much sanding and filling and everything, which I love. It's great. Here I am building up the GAU-12 gun pod that goes on the undersurface of the aircraft. You have the option to put these on, well, the gun on with its other pod, or have just the regular fins on the belly of the aircraft and put a lightning pod in there, because the kit comes with GBU-12s. It's good to note as well, the kit comes with AIM-9Ms, GBU-12s, and AGM-65s, but in the instructions the AGM-65 are listed as AGM-64s, but you'll quickly know when you look at reference pictures that they are not AGM-64s, they are the Maverick, so just a quick note for you there as well. Just cementing some different antenna and air scoops and things like that onto the top of the aircraft just to kind of build up the shape before we get it ready for primer. The fitment here was great as well. On the whole, the kit had excellent fitment, as I said before, and on the whole, this was a fantastic kit. This is probably my favorite kit that I've built so far, and I'm not exaggerating. This was an excellent kit from start to finish, and UMA has definitely turned into one of, if not my favorite model manufacturer. It's just, from start to finish, this kit was amazing, and I didn't want it to end. So here you can see another highlight of the kit, the single molded intake cowling. This is incredibly impressive. I don't know how they managed to pull it off and get all the detail in there, but it's fantastic. Just the fact that this is all one piece, it's insane. Cementing that incredibly impressive piece onto the front of the aircraft now. The fitment was excellent, and it was masked off using the kit included masks. The kit comes with masks for, as you can see here, the intake, masks for the wheel hubs for the wheels that come off of the wings, and masks for the canopy. Absolutely amazing, incredible to see these included in the kit. Here I am using some of the kit included photo etch to detail up the canopy guide rail. This is the rail that the canopy sits on, so those two little hooks, or these little hooks here that you're seeing me super glue in place, latch the canopy in place and stops it from opening while the aircraft is in flight. As you heard me say a second ago, this photo etch is kit included. Absolutely fantastic to see this included in the kit, where normally for any other manufacturer you'd have to buy it as aftermarket. As I said at the beginning of this video, there's a ton of stuff included in the kit, and I was not lying. It's fantastic to see this little bit of photo etch included. Here I am getting the radome cemented in place. This looks absolutely fantastic. And here I am building up the main instrument panel now. Again, you get the flat option or the raised option depending on what you're doing. If you're using the 3D decals or not, I am obviously opting for the 3D decals, so I use the flat ones. Here you can see me cementing the main instrument panel in place, all detailed up with the 3D decals. Looks awesome. And there, as you just saw a minute ago, I was showing off the super in scale HUD. They used photo etch and super thin plastic sheets to create a really in scale HUD, and it looks fantastic. My sheets were tinted a little bit blue. I don't know if this was a manufacturing error or if they're supposed to be tinted blue. If you're building this kit and yours were blue as well, please do let me know. But yeah, it was super in scale, looked absolutely fantastic. Here you can see me cementing the ailerons in place. Please note that the ailerons do have a flaps up or flaps down option because when the flaps are down on the Harrier, the ailerons do droop just slightly. So make sure you select the right ones depending on what you're doing. I'm opting for the flaps down option, so that's what I did. You could see the glasswork going in place. The main canopy didn't come with masks for the kit, but the forward part did, so I just masked it off myself. Here you can see the wheel wells were filled up with a bit of foam, and I'm cementing some more miscellaneous things onto the aircraft in preparation for primer. Here is the scheme I'm going to be doing. The entire reason I picked this scheme was because there's a heart on it, and if an aircraft scheme has a heart, I'll almost always do it. I don't know why, I love hearts on aircraft. It looks awesome. So the first color that's going to be going down on the exterior of the aircraft on the underside is going to be Vallejo Model Air's Medium Sea Gray, same color that was used in the cockpit. And I'm just going to be black basing that all over the lower surfaces of the aircraft. Some of you may have also noticed by now that I left the flaps off. That's because when the Harrier's flaps are down, because it's a VTOL aircraft, the flaps are almost at a 90-degree angle when they're down, and I thought that they would probably get in the way when I was trying to paint the fuselage, so I decided to leave them off and paint them separately, and it worked out pretty good. So yeah, if you're going to be doing the flaps down in this kit, maybe consider leaving them off until the end of the build. That way they don't get in the way of painting. Going to come back across now with the uniform coating to blend everything in, obviously using the same medium sea gray color. This is a very straightforward process, spraying at about 15 psi and using 3 or 4 thin layers of paint. Here I am going across with the final uniform coating. This is a pretty straightforward process again. You can see it's finished there on the fuselage. I'm just finishing it up on the wings. I'm very happy with how this came out. Definitely one of my best black basing jobs to date. Yeah, very happy with how it came out. Moving on to the upper surface now, going to be spraying these up in a Vallejo Model Air Ocean Gray. You may notice that this spot here was already sprayed up. That's because I tried to spray it in a neutral gray, but the neutral gray turned out to be a little bit too light of a color, so I switched over to the ocean gray, and I'm just repeating that same black basing technique. Here's that paintwork all finished up. You'll see I masked it off, that way I could finish it when I was doing the uniform coating. Looks pretty good. And here it is with the masking tape taken off. Very happy with how this paintwork came out, but I think it could use a little bit more. And for said a little bit more, I'm going to be using a bit of a lighter mix of that ocean gray color, and I'm going to be doing the same technique that I did in my Uhu video, just putting masking tape in front of the panel line to create a harsh border, and then spraying up a bit of the lighter color. to make it look like the panel had been replaced at some point in this aircraft's career. The final bit of the paintwork for this aircraft is going to be the rudder. Spraying this up in... the instructions call for like a wine red color. All I did was just took a Vallejo Model Air red and mixed it out with a few drops of flat black, and that seemed to do the trick pretty well. So yeah, just spraying this up in a uniform coating, and yeah, it looks good. It looks a lot more red in person, and in the final photos you'll see how red it is. So don't worry about it not being red. It looks a lot more red in person and in the final photos. This masking that you see me peeling off here came with the kit as well. I forgot to mention that earlier, but it came with the kit for this specific scheme alongside all the other masking that was with it. At this point now the aircraft was gloss coated, decals were put down, it was gloss coated again, and there was a panel line wash applied. Didn't record the panel line wash just because you guys have seen it in my past videos. Everybody knows how a panel line wash goes down. If you don't, feel free to go check out my other videos. I discuss them more there. Here I am putting in the exhaust staining now. Just using a flat black for this, and it's a pretty straightforward process, just spraying it down very slowly. It wasn't completely sold with how this exhaust stain came out, but I did a lot better on the other side, so just ignore this one and we'll be good. Here are the exhaust nozzles put in, well, the rear ones I should say, and here are the front ones. The rear ones are silver because they would get a lot hotter than the front ones, so they wouldn't be painted because the paint would just fly right on off of them. Here are the flaps going in place. I had left these off, as I said earlier, and they go down fantastic. Glue in place very, very well. If you wanted to, you could probably friction fit them. I personally wouldn't, but, you know, it's up to you. So, as you can see here, there is shit on the canopy. I wasn't very happy about this, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Let's just say a bit of dirt got up under there and they didn't clean it. Moving on to some weathering now. I'm going to be doing a bit of oil work. Apologies for the camera bump there. Harriers really, on the whole, didn't get very dirty. They were faded and beaten up, but they weren't dirty. So I tried to go easy on the oil weathering here just to show, you know, certain areas are obviously going to have oil stains and streaking and everything. But I couldn't help myself when I went a little bit more than I wanted to. Using oils is just way too fun. So a little bit inaccurate. Harriers wouldn't, or probably wouldn't get this dirty in real life. But I love doing oil work, and it made the aircraft look a lot cooler. So let's just say that this specific aircraft here saw combat, and they didn't have all the time in the world to clean it. Completely accurate? No. Does it give me an excuse to have all this oil work there? Yes. So that's all I'm really going to care about. Here I am now supergluing the angle of attack vane in place. The kit comes with 3 little metal parts, plus some pins for the pylons. So the 3 little metal parts are 2 angle of attack vanes and the little metal screw on the nose. If you're following along with this kit and you're using the metal angle of attack vanes, please be careful. These things are like needles. I stabbed myself in the finger and bled everywhere. So be careful if you're using it, but they go in pretty well and they look a lot more in scale than the plastic parts. So here is another highlight of the kit for me. It's the AIM-9s that come with the kit. Now, unfortunately, I didn't end up using them because my paintwork got botched. It was all peely. I have no idea what happened. But I figured I'd keep the assembly footage in the video just to show you guys. There are multiple parts. You never normally see missiles that are multiple parts, especially something as small as the AIM-9, but they're absolutely fantastic. And as you saw a minute ago, they had a little jig to help get the right angle of your rearmost fins. It just looked absolutely fantastic, and they would have looked great if my paintwork didn't get screwed over. But yeah, here's that footage for you guys, just in case you decide you want to use the missiles on your kit. Moving on to the weaponry that I did use on the aircraft, here are the AGM-65s getting built up. As I said earlier, they're listed as AGM-64s in the instructions, but they're not. They are AGM-65s, so just make sure to keep that in mind. These are multiple parts as well, and they go together really well. The seeker heads are actually clear parts as well, so I painted a little black dot on the inside of them to mimic the seeker head camera. and then I just masked it off with a bit of masking fluid after. With that being finished up now, the AJM65s can go ahead and get cemented in place, and now I'm going to hand you guys off for the final photos. But before I do that, I just wanted to say this kit was absolutely fantastic from start to finish, and I really, really hope you guys enjoyed the video, enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. So yeah, enjoy the final photos, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
What makes the Harrier unique and what gives it an important capability for the Marine Corps Air-to-Ground Task Force is primarily the ability to operate from amphibious assault ships with the Marine Expeditionary Unit, or from austere conditions and forward operating bases anywhere the Marine Corps needs it. It can land and take off in very small confined areas, refuel, rearm, and go out and close to the enemy, go re-attack and attack as necessary. And that's again driven by the technology from the Pegasus engine and the ability to vector the nozzles for a vertical or short takeoff and conventional flight, or when it's out flying around, it functions as any other normal jet aircraft.